In this video, we're going to be covering ACM templates and batch hardware creation. Some prerequisites and information. In addition to the door templates added in version 5.12.0 of ACM, new templates have been added in version 5.12.2. It is important to note, to utilize these new templates, you will need to be running version 5.12.2 of ACM. The new templates added are a wiring template, input, output, and reader template. In addition to the new templates, batch panel creation and addition has also been added, as well as batch door creation using the batch panel creation and the door and wiring templates. A description of the new templates added in version 5.12.2. The wiring template is used to assign input, output, and reader templates to a specific set of doors or hardware based on installation requirements. The input template is used to assign input parameters based on the connected input hardware. An example of this would be all of the door position switches in your system require a normally open end-of-line resistance versus a normally closed. We can now create a template based around that requirement. The output template is used to assign output parameters based on the connected output hardware. An example of this would be all of your door strikes will be using energized when active versus all of your mag locks would be using not energized when active. And last, the reader template is used to assign reader parameters based on the reader type or model. An example of this would be an installation where you have keypad readers and you need to change all of the keypad decoding to Hughes ID 4-bit. Or you want to modify the wiring template from OSDP versus Wiegand. The batch panel and door creation uses the wiring and door templates to quickly create panels, subpanels, and doors using the predefined templates and information previously mentioned. Batch panel and door creation significantly reduces the amount of time to perform required initial commissioning and configuration of the hardware for an ACM deployment. In the past, doors and hardware were created individually, and the hardware was assigned to them individually as well. Batch creation also allows for consistency across ACM deployments, making deployment of an ACM system easier than ever. The new templates in ACM version 5.12.2 can be found under the Physical Access and Templates tab. First, we're going to create a door template based on the configuration required for the site. The site requires that all readers be set to card only. So we're going to create a door template here for card only. Keep in mind, for this template, any of this information can be changed in the Parameters or Operations tab based on your site requirements. Next, we're going to create a reader template. Based on the requirement of the doors being card only, we're going to create a reader template to match this template. So the readers that we're going to be configuring for this site, we're going to say they are an RP10 HID style reader, and these are going to be normal Wiegand readers. So we're going to go ahead and save our reader template. We're now going to create an output template. The output template is what we're going to apply to the outputs of our system based on the hardware that they're being connected to. So the purposes of our demonstration, we're going to say that these are going to be for electric strikes. So for these, we're going to install this output template, select our vendor, and our operating mode will be energized when active for this template. Keep in mind, if this was for a different type of output, you could change this to energize when active or not energize when active, or you can change the schedule or pulse time. We now need to create an input template. It's recommended that if you're creating this for your doors, that you create a separate template for your door contact sensors as well as your request exit devices. So we're going to go ahead and create two templates for our inputs. One will be for our door position sensors, and I like to name the input template as to what the EOL for the door contact sensors are going to be. So we're going to choose normally open. Once again, install it, pick your vendor, and we're going to change the EOL resistance to match our template name. Click Save. And we're going to do the same thing for our request to exit. So Rex, normally open, and we're going to set our vendor and change our EOL resistance. Once again, if there are additional settings that need to be changed on here, I can go ahead and do that. But for the purposes of this demonstration, this is enough information. So now that we have an input, output, and reader template, we can create a wiring template. A wiring template will need to be created for each type of controller that you have on your system. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we are going to assume that this is a 16 reader system utilizing a 2-door controller and 2-door subpanels downstream. So first, we're going to add a wiring template for our intelligent controller. So we're going to choose our LP1502. We'll select our vendor, Mercury Security, and then we're going to select the model that matches the wiring template required. So now we're going to pick a 1502. And from here, you can see that I can select the information that I want my hardware to have. So my reader on address 1 for door 1 will use reader template for the RP10. My door position will be set to address 1 on my 1502. So I'm going to select my DPoS to match this input template. Same thing for the strike. It's going to utilize address 1 on the card. So we're going to set the output template and the strike address. The next thing we'll do is we'll set our Rex address. So address 2 for door 1, we'll use our Rex input template. So now door 1, when created, will utilize this information. We'll go down here and we'll copy the same information for door number 2. Once we've chosen the correct information, we'll go ahead and click Save. So we now have a wiring template created for our intelligent controller. Let's go ahead and add one for our subpanels. So we're going to choose a good name for this, MR52, because these are the types of panels that we're going to be adding. We'll come down here to Mercury Security, and we're going to do a 2-door module. Same thing as before, we're going to select the reader address, the reader template, door position address, door position template, strike address, output template for our strike, as well as the Rex. And we'll do the same thing for door number 2. One thing you'll notice is that as I'm adding these addresses to the wiring template, it will make the other previously selected items unavailable. So I cannot add multiple things to a specific set of hardware. But as you can see here, this really will help with consistency across your installations. For every single installation that my team goes out and does, they will know that on door 1 on an MR52, the reader should be on address 1, the door position should be address 1, the rec should be address 2, same thing for door 2. This information will automatically be done, so they won't have to figure out what was done. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this. And now we have 2 separate wiring templates, one for our intelligent controller, one for our sub panel. Now that we have our templates done, door template, wiring, and all of our other input, output, and reader templates, we can go ahead and use the new batch create configuration for our panels. So we're going to go over here to panels. And as I mentioned, this is going to be a 16-door system. So we're going to add a panel, and we're going to go ahead and name this. We'll call it LP1502 Maybe it's -1. I can set the physical location. I can tell it that my vendor is Mercury Security. We'll install this. We're going to pick LP1502 and we'll set our time zone and click Save. So you'll get a message saying the panel was successfully created, and then you'll be presented with this batch create wizard. So the first thing is we're looking at our internal 1502 SIO. Here's the base name. We have one of those. Now what we want to do is select the door template that's going to be used to create the doors based on this panel. So we're going to use our card-only template, and we're going to pick the wiring template associated with our LP1502. Now, this gives us the ability to add 2 doors. So we need to add an additional 7 MR52s, or a 2-door module, to get us to a total of 16 doors. I can change my subpanel base name because these are MR52s, not 1502s. Same thing, I'm going to select my door template, and I'm going to select the associated wiring template. Once I've verified that this is correct, I'll click Next, and you'll see that it automatically renames my subpanels. It sets the addressing for each one of my panel types. It sets the door template and the wiring template for each one of my panels. Now from here, I can go in and I can actually change my addressing. I can change my subpanel names. Purposes of this demonstration, we're going to leave this alone. We're going to click Next. And now from here, we're going to start creating our doors. So the first thing that we're going to create, or the next thing that we'll create, is our doors. Obviously, we're going to want to change the door names on these so that they match the customer site. Once again, just for the demonstration here, we're going to do some basic door names. So door 1, door 2, door 3, and so on and so forth. Once you've relabeled all of your doors to match your requirements, you'll click the Save button, and the system will, in the background, create all of the panels and subpanels and doors based on the templates that you assigned. You'll get a message here saying how many successfully created elements were created, and if I go in and I click Panels, you'll see I now have an LP1502 along with all of my subpanels. If I go over to Doors, here are all the doors that were created for that system. Obviously, the next task here would be going into my intelligent controller and configuring the host IP address and any other information that I require for these panels. But at this point, my system has all of the doors and hardware created. If we look at one of these doors, we'll pick door 1, you'll see, based on the door template I used, the access type was filled out, the door mode was filled out. In the Operations tab, all of this information was pulled in from the door template, as well as the hardware information. So all of the hardware is automatically now assigned based on the wiring template used, and it's done based on the template configuration. So if I look at my reader, you'll see here I'm using a Wiegand-based reader. If I look at my door position sensor, it's now normally open, no EOL. All of the information that I used in the templates that we first created will now be used for these doors, as well as the hardware will automatically be assigned a name based on the door name.